Hello, this is Dank Slank. We're here discussing
Go ahead.
classiest cavern on the World Wide Web. I'm sorry, our minds are all discombobulated. We just saw the sheer spectacle that is the reveal to the world of the PlayStation 5 console. And we saw a bunch of games with it. We saw its weird apple white aesthetic, and we're going to run down the list. We got stuff to talk about and things to say. I don't know. I'm Mr. G, Mr. J,
What up?
and we're going to mostly just fanboy out
Yes.
and pretend that they're not going to ruin it with microtransactions like they always do. Okay.
Oh, they'll probably
So-
have some peripherals for it that'll be technically like microtransactions. Who knows? I don't know.
I guess so, yeah. That's they could do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, have you
I
seen?
do want to...
Oh, sorry. Before we get
Yeah.
started, I just want to know if you've actually seen pictures of what the console looks like.
Oh yeah, like that weird. It's very. It looks like a concept. Like it looks alien. It looks like a gaming console from like the people from that Avatar movie.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To me,
Like I was seeing memes. It's like, this is what the world would look like if everything looked like fucking the PS5 console, and it looks like that picture of what people thought India was gonna look like in 2020. Remember that? Everything is like chrome and shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's weird and it's out there. It's kind of doing a similar sort of thing to what Xbox did with the 360, where it was this weird sort of floaty, sort of floopity shape, and it was white. I think that's what they're going for. So that sort of thing, that sort of white future, the year is 2020 sort of thing, which is a good contrast compared to the giant, like, monolithic Xbox Series X cube. Like, I think it's a good contrast. I mean, it's kind of interesting how game consoles are sort of, once again, looking drastically different from one another. It's a major change from what it was just a generation ago, where it was mostly just, like, VCRs with sort of different finishes on each side. Like, there was a little bit of, like, a glossy finish, and then there was a matte finish, but they were both black. Like, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One look really similar to me, Like,
Oh,
the
yeah.
standard ones, anyway.
Mhm.
So it's kind of nice to see that they're differentiating themselves from one another.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, although, like, the weird shapes and stuff aside, it's kind of nice, though, that the PlayStation 5, it's at least usable in the same way as just a normal-looking console would be. Like, you can lay it on its side, you can have it standing up as a tower, it's got a disc slot and everything. That was cool, or at least one of them does. I should specify only one of them. There are two versions. There's the one that has the disc slot, and then there's the one that is the digital only PlayStation 5.
Yep.
That said, looking at it now, thinking about it, there's something kind of telling about the way they've designed it. Like, if you look at the PlayStation 5 with the disc
Wait, what do you
tray
mean?
versus the one without it, it's like the one with it, even though that's the one that they showed first, there's something kind of, for lack of a better term, like unnatural about it. It looks like it's sort of forced and shoehorned in there. It just bulges
Yeah,
out
I
the
mean,
side.
They were like, oh, I don't know. Maybe it was like a last minute addition. It's like, oh, I guess we gotta still go with discs, or
Yeah.
maybe I don't know.
But I mean, maybe. I think that in terms of design, even though that they haven't really said yet, at least as far as we know, what the reasoning for design choices for it would be or the inspiration, there's something like it's the way that it looks says something about, in my opinion, it says something about how the people at PlayStation are thinking of moving forward and thinking of sort of shaping the market in a sense. It's like the way they've made it looks sort of awkward and like it doesn't belong there compared to the discless version, the digital only PlayStation 5. It looks like it's more naturally designed to look like that. It's almost as if there's like this implicit sort of just through design language, this implication that like disc-based medium is unnatural and sort of like a vestigial element from a far gone time. I think just the way the aesthetic differences between the two, it says a lot about how PlayStation sort of wants to move into a digital only sort of environment, as opposed to like Xbox, where you can tell looking at it the disc tray is supposed to be in there. It's all cohesively a part of it. Or for the Series X, with the PlayStation 5, it's like they're almost trying to like, just through design language, push for a digital only platform. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. I would say, yeah, like with the Xbox at least, they kind of they were going with the monolith anyway, so they could just incorporate the disk drive into that sort of shape.
It's not like they have a chunk that's sticking out the side of the box.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Unlike the PlayStation, where it feels like it's sort of bulging out.
Yeah.
Notices your disk drive bulge. Ooh, what's this? I am glad, though, that it has it.
At least we know PS5 is packing heat.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it certainly looks like it. It's packing, like, weird, like, alien, like, lily pad aesthetic heat, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I figured maybe just in terms of, like, besides the console itself and, you know, them dropping details and hints throughout it, I don't know. I was thinking we just sort of go through start to finish, talk about, you know, what happened. Like, the first thing that they did, you know, besides just showing PlayStation logos, was like sort of review their history, because it's hard to think about it. Like, you don't think about it when you look at it, but the PlayStation as a format for games, like, not only, like, it's a quarter of a century old at this point, which is crazy to think about for a console.
Yep.
Especially considering that it was considered at one point new compared to veterans like, you know, Nintendo and Sega and all these different groups. So to look at it and see that PlayStation, you know, not only hit the ground running at the very beginning to be sort of the underdog hero, as it were, of the fifth console generation, but to see how things have developed and changed and, you know, and have grown since then, it's kind of crazy just, you know, to think about, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's...
I don't know. I think it was an earned celebration, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, they've been around for a long time, and we wouldn't have them here today if it weren't for them going against Nintendo's wishes with that disc drive, the disc-based console they were trying to make with them.
And isn't that ironic? It's like today, simply through design language, we see like Sony and, you know, PlayStation effectively sort of trying to sort of subtly nudge away from that medium that itself was what gave them the edge in the first place.
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
It's kind of unreal to think about.
And now they're trying to, like, get that, like, they're trying to move away from that by, like, having the freaking disc drive, like, just, like, put on there as if it's just, like, I don't know, just, like, a last-minute addition, and they're trying to go all digital.
Yeah, an afterthought.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny. Again, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe it's just that, you know, I mean, because looking at older consoles and other consoles, like the first PlayStation 3, like they made different versions of that. So maybe it's just that they couldn't figure out a way to do it. Or like the Xbox One, like it started out really, you know, really massive and clunky. I know it's under I have an original, you know, the first generation Xbox One under my television right now. It's a big thing, but they managed to make it and pack it all into a smaller package later with more time, you know, figuring out how to compartmentalize and consolidate it into a smaller package. So maybe the disc drive for the PlayStation 5 will be like that, where it's integrated more into the console as a whole and it's made a little smaller in that sense. But, you know, only time will tell. We're at the very beginning after all. This is just hours after they showed it off to the world, you know, who were filming, just hours after we saw it, you know, basically live. So anyway, so I'm going to just, if you don't mind, I just want to jump to talking about the first game they showed is a game that started out like at the very beginning of the prior console generation, Grand Theft Auto 5, which I think a lot of people were kind of hoping to see Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah, it's like they're really just beating a dead horse at this point with GTA 5.
They are. I mean, and it's getting to the point, like they're announcing a content update, and they did it really vaguely too. They didn't specify any details. All the stuff they showed in the trailer was stuff that's already been in the game. Like the updates and enhancements that they were saying that's coming in 2021, which, to put that into perspective, that's roughly the same time ratio. So the time ratio, or the difference in time between this like big content and like just update in general to Grand Theft Auto 5, versus when when Grand Theft Auto 5 originally came out, it's the same approximate space of time as between Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. Just to put into perspective how long Rockstar has been milking this game.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't blame them. I mean, it's still making money. People still love it. And in our what we don't want in the next console generation video, we were talking about how I'm losing my train of thought. Well, we were talking about how it's the most successful, like still remains one of the most successful video games, despite being almost a decade old now.
Oh yeah.
Which is crazy, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's successful, but I don't know if it's like the best game ever. You know, it's like it is what it is. GTA, I mean, has always been a really like well-selling franchise, but
yeah,
I don't know if I would say it's like one of the best games of all time, like on an objective level in terms of like quality. Like it's all right, but like I still feel like even today, like playing the game, like the controls are still like way too clunky for my liking.
They are really clunky, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Like it's like I don't know, if they could just focus a little more on the gameplay, on just like fixing the gameplay mechanics for GTA 6, if that's ever gonna come out.
If and when it's ever gonna come out. And actually, that sort of brings me to my next thing. It's like Grand Theft Auto 5 is, in a certain sense, the new Skyrim. They just keep re-releasing versions, it seems like, or putting in new updates to that game.
Pretty much.
As opposed to coming out with the 6th installment that everybody keeps asking for.
Yep.
You know, it's like, that's at least how I feel about it. I mean, you know, it's Skyrim with vehicular theft.
Vehicular manslaughter and...
It's Skyrim with guns.
Oh, God. Yes, exactly.
I know, not to say, I mean, who knows? They were really vague about it, so maybe they're keeping like their cards close to their chest. Maybe this is sort of like a stealth sort of thing. Like they're getting us excited for this little thing, and then bam, in 2021, they're actually going to announce the game, and that's the update. That it's like anybody who bought Grand Theft Auto 5 gets Grand Theft Auto 6 for free or something crazy.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's wishful thinking, but
yeah.
I don't know. So. On to games that were actually new. Spider-Man. We got a new one. We get to play as Miles Morales. Finally, I get to live out my... Ever since I saw Into the Spider-Verse, that was the first superhero movie I saw in a long, long time. Or one of them. I saw that. Actually, I saw that with you. I saw that and Aquaman sort of like one day after the other.
Oh, yeah, we saw it. Cause, like,
we did see that.
Oh, yeah,
it was really, really good.
Yeah, that movie is amazing. Like, and I'm glad Miles is getting his spotlight. Because, you know, we people of color deserve our hero too, you know?
Yeah.
Hashtag Black Lives Matter. I mean, what?
I guess that's one way of looking at it. I mean, I'm just stoked because, like with the previous game, like they were sort of like Spider-Man had already, if I'm not mistaken, admittedly I've only seen a little bit and I haven't gotten a chance to play because I don't have regular access to a PlayStation console at the moment. But for the Spider-Man game that we got, the first one that was the PlayStation exclusive for the PS4, that one was specifically... like about, it seemed like he'd already been established in Peter Parker had already been established in that game for a little bit. And we sort of jump in, and it seems like this one's an opportunity because Miles Morales, at least based on what I saw in the film version, like he's really inexperienced to start with. So I'm thinking maybe this is that sort of thing where we build up powers and like their skill trees and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's gonna be like a pretty neat aspect of this new game is you're pretty much like experiencing this character's growth, and because of that, it's just gonna lead to like a more believable like experience where you're like building up this character's you're seeing him grow to become like a real hero in a way.
Yeah, I mean we can only hope so. I mean, that's the thing that's kind of troubling about it too, though, because it's like It's supposed to be releasing fairly soon, but this is the first we've seen of it, and it was essentially a teaser. Like, a lot of stuff was darkly lit. We get a view of Miles's face in glorious 4K Ultra HD
You can see the
next
pores
gen.
on the skin.
Yeah, you can see the pores on his skin, and you can see the light reflecting in his corneas and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, we didn't really see much, so all this stuff is just speculation. I mean, hopefully what you and I have been saying is true, that it will be like an opportunity to explore further and, to do more with it. I guess what I'm wondering is, like, where would this sort of land in terms of its place within, say, a Spider-Man video game universe? Is this a sequel, or is this a spin-off? Is this a Fallout 4, or is this a Fallout New Vegas sort of thing? Like,
Might be like a Fallout
is
New
what I'm saying.
Vegas sort of thing.
yeah, I was thinking that. And that also brings up the question: do you think they're going to keep doing this? Like, are we going to have a Spider-Gwen game? Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman.
Spider-Gwen is Bay. I mean, what?
Spider-Gwen is bae. You're not going to get any debates here.
Yep. I don't know. It might be like DLC or something. Hey man, when are we gonna have Penny? We should have Penny Parker. We need our
the one with the mech?
Spider Girl. I mean, what?
I want to play the Nicolas Cage, like the noir Spider-Man. That'd be pretty rad.
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah. But I wish I had more to. That's all I have to say about the Spider-Man thing, to be honest. Just because I don't know what else there is to go on. They didn't really show much.
Yeah, like they should have shown like a little more gameplay, but it's probably not like they're probably saving that for August because they're still gonna do some more stuff in August.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, maybe that probably is it. Yeah, just get us all stoked enough to come back.
Yep. Saving the best for last, but I think it's gonna be a launch title because it's coming out like holiday 2020.
Yeah, and that's another reason I'm kind of like, like, shouldn't they be telling more if it's coming out this year? Like,
Yeah.
Again, you're probably right. They probably are just waiting on it. And hopefully they're doing, I mean, because what came after the Spider-Man one was they were doing Gran Turismo 7, which to me was a big shock because they've been focusing on Gran Turismo Sport a lot. And that game got a lot of flack for a lot of reasons. Like, for one thing, the car list was like super limited, and like there was only a handful of vehicles. Almost all of them were either from 2009 or like newer. Like the oldest car, with the exception of like one Audi like rally car, like pretty much everything was at the oldest from 2009. So a lot of people were really bummed about that. So it's nice to see that they're redressing some of that, and they're also adding a campaign mode because Gran Turismo Sport was basically a multiplayer only game.
Oh yeah.
So the fact that they're really working on that, and like the Gran Turismo 7 is gonna actually be like a legitimate, like, at least from what I can tell, is gonna be like a legitimate full-fledged, like, lots of cars, a career mode and everything else.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Like they kept us waiting for a long time for
a whole console generation, basically.
Yeah, for a proper, sequel.
Yeah, because Gran Turismo 6, they thought when it was announced, people thought it was going to be a launch title for the PlayStation 4, but it was like an end of, like, this is a culmination for the PlayStation 3. This is the last big game we're going to put out for it, which, like, I feel like that game really showed, like, yeah, that console was kind of on its way out. Like, they couldn't quite get textures to work right, different, like, lighting effects flickered and stuff. Like, hopefully this time around they really, really have it down.
Yeah, hopefully.
It was nice seeing that they're bringing back a bunch of old cars that were previously in the game. Like, I don't know. Again, this is just because I'm obsessed with racing games, but I paused at certain moments, and certain cars, like, I could see they were bringing back, like, the Porsche Carrera GT, the Lamborghini Murcielago LP640. Like, they were bringing, back a bunch of cars that were in Gran Turismo 6, but did not make it into Gran Turismo Sport. So, hopefully, I'm hoping that that's a sign that they're trying to bring back, bring the car list to its former glory.
Oh, yeah, here's hoping, because, more Gran Turismo is a good thing,
Yeah, I mean, and it's like you see that, and they were brave enough. I say brave. they were open enough, I should probably say, to show some gameplay, to show some actual like in cockpit view
Oh yeah.
of what was going on, which I was super stoked for.
Oh yeah. Looked pretty nice.
Yeah, I just they do have a delay history, so I'm hoping that they don't just like figure, oh, we'll just patch it in later. You know, that's what everybody's been doing this past console generation. I hope the Polyphony Digital does not do that with this. If there's something comes up and they have to take a little more time to do it, I'd prefer that, as opposed to just pumping it out.
Yeah. Here's hoping they.
Yeah, like the animations look good. They showed gameplay. I don't know. It put a lot of confidence in me personally, especially after like seeing 2 trailers that were. We got a couple of cinematics and not much else to actually see and have them like do a little walkthrough in a sense of here's what it looks like when you're buying a car and here's the menu and I don't know, it instills confidence in me is what I'm saying.
Nice.
I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. The Porsche 917 that they showed in the trailer looked cool. That's the only other thing I can think of to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not much of a car guy or really play any racing games, so I can't really say anything else. I'm just happy for Gran Turismo fans, I guess, that they get to play a new title in the franchise.
Because they were kind of left out to dry for most of the last console generation. It's only been recently the Gran Turismo Sport's really gotten really good and gotten a bunch of content patched in.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of live servicey. Come back, keep coming back, and we'll keep adding stuff. But God knows what it'll be. I don't know. Anywho,
yeah.
Hopefully it'll be good. It looks like it will be. So I don't know. It might be what sells me on the console. We'll see. What they sort of going back to more PlayStation exclusives. At least as of the moment, this seems like a franchise that. I mean, if Crash Bandicoot ends up on the Xbox through, the Xbox line, maybe this will eventually too. But for now, it's PlayStation. Ratchet and Clank, a rift apart.
Oh yeah, showing off the power of that SSD.
Yeah, for real.
Yep.
I just So Ratchet and Clank meets Portal. Is that what? I don't know. That's an oversimplification.
Yeah, that's pretty much the case.
I do like that though, how they're messing with quote unquote physics in it. I do find it funny though. They were kind of vague about the gameplay part. Like the first part of it, they tried to make it look like gameplay. I feel like with the third person camera view, but I'm pretty sure it was like pre-rendered what they were doing. At least for the first part, and then they showed actual gameplay with the peripherals and stuff.
Yeah, or it just might be like the style of the graphics, because it does look very like CGI, like Pixar movie-esque.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know, maybe that's just the way it always looks. That's the way that all the Ratchet and Clank games have always looked, honestly.
Yeah, so I guess looking at it too, it seems like there's going to be. We're talking about the power of SSD. Is that going to be that there's going to be multiple like open world maps that you jump from and jump to through portals, like no load times? Like there's different sort of semi-open levels that you jumped in between, like that are running simultaneously, or?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what they're like focusing on. It's just like no load times at all, because their crazy fast SSD apparently lets them load all those different environments like instantaneously.
One thing that I found interesting, like they make it out like so Ratchet and Clank are separated at the end of the trailer. And that sort of left it open to me to think, well, maybe it's like multiple campaigns. Like there's multiple there's multiple storylines. Like what you do in the Ratchet storyline affects what happens in the Clank storyline, and depending on like where they intersect and they're back together again, maybe that shapes it. Maybe there's like a branching sort of quote unquote like a narrative sort of thing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that.
I'm thinking
until you like told me. Yeah, that might be the case.
Yeah, or maybe like where you do one end or the other. Like in Dishonored, they have it so you play as either like Dishonored 2, you either are playing as Emily or you're playing as Corvo, and maybe this is the same sort of thing where it's like two sort of complementary campaigns, and then they come together as one campaign at the end. I don't know. We'll see. I just know that Rule 34 is going to be crazy with a certain cybernetically augmented parallel dimension Ratchet.
Oh yeah.
I cannot wait, dude. I bet people are going crazy on all these like weird fetish sites right now with her.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have a lot of Rule 34 up soon. That's for sure.
What I'm saying is I'm very excited for the game. Anyway.
And that's not. I'm pretty sure that's not the only game with furry characters that you're excited about. But we'll probably get to that later, right?
I don't know if I'm. Yeah, probably. We probably will get to that later. Yeah, we'll probably get to that later. What am I saying? Of course we will. Let's see. So the next thing that came up was Square Enix, announced a new IP. That was it's under a code name right now. Project Athena, Athea. What is it? Project Athea, right?
Athea. I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Athea. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
Square white guy. I don't know how to pronounce words that aren't John or like Karen. Like if it's not those two words, I'm out of ideas. But it was kind of interesting. It's kind of like I'm getting like sort of like a gritty like Avatar, The Last Airbender vibe, like with all the roots getting drawn out from the ground, like earthbending.
Oh yeah.
And then the lava dragon at the end just sold it to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, to me, it just seems like more generic JRPG stuff.
Yeah,
Final
it does
Fantasy
seem like it will end up that
stuff,
way.
you know, stuff that Square Enix does all the time, and they never really stray from that sort of style of game and that art style and whatnot.
Kind of like when like Noctis like warping, like teleporting 2 feet in a direction to sword swing somebody, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm kind of concerned about because the way they make it look, it's like they have this big shot of the landscape. They make it out like it's an open world, and we know how open worlds in Final Fantasy games go. Final Fantasy 15 showed us that. It's like, yeah, you're not getting to explore any of this really.
Oh yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Well, now my hope is dashed for that game. Stray was the next game I think that came out after that. You know Stray, the one where it's the androids, and it seems like I don't know. It's like in themes of like income inequality and late stage capitalism.
Pretty much,
Like
except for humans. Except instead of humans, we have robots.
Yeah, everybody's a robot in this,
or an android or whatever.
But cats are still around. Like cats are still living, sentient, like squishy, furry creatures, just like in real life.
Yeah, buddy.
But it's funny because with the name of the game and with the focus on the cat at the end, it makes it seem as though as far as I can tell, it looks like we're going to be playing as the cat.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
Which is kind of rad.
Yeah. Finally, we get our cat simulator we've always asked for.
I mean, I'm excited for it personally.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think that might be intentional from a narrative standpoint. Like, because with the cat, it's like you're not getting a spin with a cat. It's just looking around and being a cat, and maybe that's part of it. It's like with being an animal, you're sort of detached from you're detached from a character. The character you're playing as a cat is detached from the decision making and the opinion forming, like that cognitive sort of stuff that a human being or an android would be. So you're just observing things through your own lens, and it's almost like playing probably like an open-ended game, as opposed to playing through a character like a John Marston or a Booker DeWitt, where you're acting, but it's ultimately they've got their own opinions and a mind of their own. Maybe this allows us to have a little more agency and a little more like personal investment in decisions that are made in the game and how we see things. I don't know, because I'm just seeing themes of like late stage capitalism and I'm just seeing things like discussions of income inequality and the haves and the have-nots, and that's just what I'm seeing. It might not be that way, but it seems like they're implying that.
I wonder if we're gonna see any
I don't know.
robot lives matter commentary or something.
Yeah. Occupy Cog Street.
Exactly. Cock Street.
We are the 1% algorithm.
Yes.
All right, so, and I don't mean to steam it. If I'm going, like, if I'm jumping to something, you want to jump back to something, feel free. But I was just looking at, like, because immediately after that, they start going into tech specs for the PlayStation 5. Solid state drive, it's 4K, ray tracing, motion sensors. The motion sensors is where they lost me, to be honest.
That's probably for that might be for like the VR set that they might introduce later on, and for the PlayStation Move controllers that I'm hoping they try to uh like keep around and have them like usable for this new console, because that'd be pretty dope.
That would be dope. I
'Cause,
guess.
I mean, we haven't used those since the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, for real. I mean, hopefully. I guess I just worry because, like, with the various motion, like, sensors and stuff on the PlayStation 4, like, in the controller and stuff for, like, heavy rain and everything, it seemed like it was something just for David Cage to, like, pretend that he was being deep about and pretend that he was immersing you. Like, ooh, you have to shake the controller to towel off in heavy rain, ooh.
Oh yeah.
And that's I guess that's why I'm concerned, because it's like, admit it, if it's adapted for a VR setting, like if PlayStation can make their own Half-Life Alyx, that might work. But I just see how like, because the trackpad was the big thing in the prior generation. It didn't seem like it was used for all that much.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I'm thinking, like, maybe this will end up the same way, but hopefully not.
Yeah, like hopefully they just utilize these peripherals more, because it just feels like everything that came before was kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
They're just there for the sake of being there.
Yeah. The only other thing, this one would just put a question mark above my head, and maybe I'm just ignorant about this stuff, but 3D audio, like, where does the audio come from? Like, if it's 3D, do you have, like, is it like a television where, you know, different sound waves are told to go through specific parts of, like, little mini speakers within the big speaker? Or, like, is it in the console? Is it in the controller?
They mean by 3D audio. I don't know. It might be like just some new technology they're trying to tout, maybe.
Maybe, because I know that PlayStation, they've put different peripherals out. Like, they had a 3D enabled TV for the PlayStation 3 that they tried to put out. So maybe that's the sort of thing. Like, there's a PlayStation speaker that's, like, designed like it's one of those rings, but it goes around a room, and that's how it's 3D. Like, if something's sneaking up behind you in a horror game, you hear it behind you. I don't know.
Yeah.
If something's sneaking up behind you, I feel like that's as good a starting point as any to talk. There's new Resident Evil that they came out with, and I want to make sure we talk about this because I know that you're a huge fan of the franchise. And with that in mind, I want to know your thoughts on this.
Yeah, it looks exciting. It looks way different from anything else we've seen in the Resident Evil franchise, which is a good thing, because like that means they're just upping the ante on like for with each new title. I know they're adding aspects of like previous games or like unused ideas from the previous games.
Yeah.
They're kind of realizing those now with this title.
Yeah. Because personally, like, I was looking at it and just observing it, I got Resident Evil 4 vibes. Like, just the people walking around outside, and, you know, there was sort of this angry mob sort of. It's kind of like, I also got like Outlast 2 sort of vibes. Like, there's something kind of cultish about it, you know?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's definitely going to be a cult aspect to this game.
Yeah. Was that Chris Redfield, too, that was in it?
Yes, it was, and looks like he might be an antagonist this time around.
What was that?
I was just saying he might become an antagonist for this new game.
Oh.
I mean, because just obviously he kills the character's wife, so Obviously, that's gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
like a point of contention between the
Wow, they
protagonists.
spoiled the game before we even got to play it.
I know, right?
But that's the thing.
I mean,
And
I
at
guess
risk
they
of
had to do that.
spoiling,
Yeah.
at risk of spoiling for the people at home, just letting you know, like, cover your ears and go la 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 for the next like 10 to 15 seconds. But Chris shows up at the end of the previous game, doesn't he? In Biohazard.
Yeah. It's like he shows up at the end of.
Yeah, he does. So there's this a continuity between the two of them, sort of like between Resident Evil 4 and 5, maybe. Or actually, I might be mixing that up. I'm mixing up my Resi continuities.
No, I mean he wasn't. He was in the end of RE7. He actually rescues the protagonist for this new one, Resident Evil 8, because it's the same protagonist from Resident Evil 7.
Do you think history might repeat itself? Like in the same way Resident Evil 4 was the one that like shaked up the formula, and then Resident Evil 5 was kind of to a lot of people. You know, not to say it didn't have good aspects, but a lot of people were a little more like sort of mixed in its reception. Do you think it's going to be the same between Biohazard and Resident Evil 8?
Yeah, it might be. I feel like they're going for that same sort of like that same sort of angle that they did with RE4, where like they switched things up kind of dramatically in a way. But I think, I don't know, it might be for the better though. I think they're if they pull it off correctly, like even though like this new Resident Evil game looks like it's just completely different because of its like, well, I mean the setting isn't all that like out there because it has like RE4 vibes, but the whole like aspect of the witches being there and like supernatural going on that they have and that they're gonna implement in the game, and like how there's gonna be aspects of hallucinations and whatnot. I think
what is there and what isn't really there.
Yeah, so I think as long as they pull that off like correctly and ground it in the lore of the Resident Evil series as a whole, like they ground it deeply in like the lore, make it sense, make it make sense. Yeah, make it make sense within the context of like Umbrella Corporation and whatever like past characters or like these new characters are doing in regards to like bioweapons research and all this stuff. If they as long as it's a grounded experience and they get the resi elements, if they like get them to work like they should, then I think it'll be a pretty solid game.
Seems like a difficult thing to do for Resident Evil game to be grounded, considering that like villains in previous games were like meat monsters wearing trash bags and like a giant insult in a fedora.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, yes.
But then again, those are like remakes of the old games. With these other ones, I mean, even though it's supernatural, it is somewhat more like you're more involved in it in a like I can tell you, I would feel much more scared playing, and we have video evidence to prove this on the channel if you look, that I'm much more scared playing Resident Evil 7 than I would be with Resident Evil 2 or 3, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, like that first person perspective, and like that they're sort of aping the sort of Alien Isolation / playable teaser thing a little more.
And the Outlast sort of angle that they went with or Resi 7 as well.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing. They're going Outlast and like a little bit of Amnesia: The Dark Descent.
Yeah, I mean, in my view, I feel like they're just kind of incorporating like aspects from previous titles, like unused ideas that Shinji Mikami was trying to realize for this new title.
And it just didn't go through then, but now.
Yeah, and I think the reason why it might have not gone through then, it was because they didn't have the graphical like power to like realize those sorts
of tech
of
limitations.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
And
I think that's exciting though.
Yeah, now that we
finally at a time where we can see it.
Yeah, exactly. Now that we have the PS5 and just Xbox Series X and this next gen power, like graphical power, there's none of that is holding it back now. There's no technical limitations holding it back. It's just basically, they're going like all in on it basically. And
Yeah.
I mean, they have the money to do it too, because they like made bank with Resident Evil 2 remake, Devil May Cry 5,
Yeah.
with Monster Hunter World and RE3 remake. They just, every game they've come out so far in the past 3 years has been, it's been a hit for them. So at this point, they're just kind of
one
burning,
after another after another. Yeah.
yeah, they're just burning cash right now, just trying to like get these Resi games to sell like hotcakes.
Keep it going.
Yep.
Now, going from the very well established horror experience to a brand new horror experience, Returnal. Return and Eternal put together. Ooh, aren't they clever? That's just me being an a-hole. That said, I bet at that boardroom meeting when they came up with that name, it's like, ooh, we got to do that.
Oh yeah.
So it's basically like Groundhog Day, but scary and in space, is what I can tell. Actually, no, that's probably an oversimplification too. Like, just looking at it, it seems like it's got a few different things sort of put together. It's Groundhog Day, and then like it's got some PT vibes in there. There's themes about like parallel worlds. It seems like there's also like an H.P. Lovecraft sort of element, like sort of like the Shadow over Innsmouth, like when the character says, I can feel myself becoming part of this world, like this very alien sort of unsettling place.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. It looks like there might be different perspectives. Like it might go from first person to third person. I know it looks interesting, is I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Kind of reminds me of the movie Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, the one with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that future-y sort of vibe, but it's like there's weird alien creatures and he keeps coming back over and over. Yeah.
Yeah, it's based off a manga called All You Need Is Kill, which is basically has the same premise where it's this guy trying to fight this alien invasion, and like he has the power to, like, if he dies, he like comes back to life. He respawns essentially, and then tries to like just he lives the same scenario over and over and tries to find ways to destroy the enemy aliens and stuff. I guess it'll be a little bit like that, but more with more psychological aspects to it.
Yeah. And it's weird, and we're going to get back to, or we're going to talk about it in a little bit, I think. I just wanted to mention that sort of a preview for you guys who are at this point in the video for what's going to come later on in this discussion. Returnal was not the only game to be themed after dying and coming back over and over to get things right. There was another game that came out that's Bethesda's and Arcane are doing. But we're going to talk about that actually probably not too far from now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had their own like variant on it, sort of like well, I don't know, what do you think? Do you want to talk about it now, or I figure I brought it up? Actually, never mind. We'll wait to talk about that. Let's just let's get the next Little Big Planet game. Let's talk about that one.
Oh yeah, cool.
It's not titled Little Big Planet, but it's got Sackboy in it.
It's like Sackboy, A Big Adventure.
Yeah.
It just seems like they're trying to be a Super Mario killer or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it did have like a Super Mario thing going. I mean, PlayStation, God, they must be so bitter that things things never work out between them and Nintendo, that they never got like a relationship with them, and that because Nintendo's pretty ruthless with their exclusivity, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, Mario is never going to show up on anything other than a Nintendo unless somebody deliberately like ports it to a computer.
Oh yeah.
And that's assuming that like the shareholders don't come out and like force you to do seppuku at gunpoint.
I mean, they've already gone after some dude who ported Super Mario 64 to the PC, and they got DMCA'd immediately. So I mean, they might even be taken to court.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not showing any Nintendo footage, but I will say a big hearty fuck you to Nintendo right now. like just coveting all your shit. It's like, are you still bitter about that Bob Hoskins movie from like the late 80s and early 90s? Still mad that Dennis Hopper played King Koopa, Bowser? Still mad about John Leguizamo being Luigi? Fuck out of here. Anyway, that's enough ranting about that for now. It is kind of interesting though that like LittleBigPlanet and stuff are making a quote unquote comeback. Because with games like there was a Super Mario Odyssey that came out a couple years ago, and Yooka-Laylee came out a couple years ago as well. Are they trying to make platformers happen again? Like, people were super excited when Banjo-Kazooie was in Smash, so maybe they're trying to bring it back. I don't know. Like, because Yooka-Laylee was a Kickstarter success. There was a Super Mario Odyssey game that came out a couple years ago. Everybody was super excited when Banjo-Kazooie was put into Smash Brothers. And now we have a new, like, LittleBigPlanet game. So maybe platformers are making a return.
Yeah, here's hoping.
I mean, I'd be interested, like with Little Hub World and like where there's some explorative elements. I'd be down. I've been nostalgic for other people's childhoods for a while now. So and I never got into the platformer stuff, but I always found it kind of interesting. So fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there was after that they showed this game called Destruction AllStars, which looks like a like a weird sort of like. It's Titanfall plus Rocket League is what it seems like.
Pretty much.
Like, you can exit, like, if your car gets destroyed, you can still run around without it, so it's sort of like the mech sort of thing. And then you're doing Demolition Derby with it. But the thing is, like, maybe there's also an element of, like, hero shooters in there, too, because there were different people. There was, like, a Lucha Libre guy, and there were a bunch of different characters. Sort of like with this sort of like bleeding edge, sort of like, ooh, look at all our attitude type of thing. So, yeah. I don't know, maybe.
I don't know. I wasn't really. I mean, it seemed alright. It's just it doesn't seem like my type of thing.
No, yeah, it didn't, and it was kind of like the attitude was kind of almost off-putting, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, wow, like apparently like one Gearbox like sort of style game is already one more than the world needs. Why are we getting this?
Yeah.
I say that we're going to be talking about a game that Gearbox was pumping out that's going to be coming out this year that they were talking about during this. So all right, so going on, is it Kena or Kena? It's like a third person platformer.
Oh yeah, probably Kena.
Yeah, that one was kind of interesting. Those weird little Furbies that she had around were kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, people are saying, "Oh, it's like Pikmin, but on
that's
on
what
PlayStation
I was kind
or
of
something."
thinking,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's almost like a Souls-like element too. Like there's a couple like boss fights with bigger enemies, at least from like what little they showed.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. That was kind of interesting.
It seemed like a cute little game.
Yeah. We'll know when it comes out. I mean, everything looks pretty, and this one definitely looks very pretty, like just looking at it. So I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it's like when it comes out.
Yeah. And then this next one I looked at, and I thought it was like, it's kind of got that sort of, it's got sort of weird little indie vibes. It's got emotional sort of like storytelling about teenagers, man. Goodbye, Volcano High. Dino School.
Oh god.
You know?
When it came up on the stream, I was like, "Oh god, just let it end already."
Dude, the Tumblr people are going to get their game.
Fuck, man. It's like, I know, I mean I guess there's something for everybody, but like, I don't know, it's just when I saw it was just like I knew the exact type of audience that this would appeal to. And I'm just like, oh my god.
It's like, you know, I don't hate those people. I just want to talk to them between a very thick layer of glass sort of thing.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm kind of interested in it, like, because I mean they're kind of vague, and the way it looks like pre-animated, So I'm thinking maybe it's sort of like a Telltale thing. Like you make little decisions in games, sort of like a little bit Telltale, a little bit like Life is Strange, like in terms of the vibe and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna get much more like absurd or like not absurd, but like I don't know if there's gonna be anything out of the ordinary besides the fact that like people are like part pterosaur and stuff. Like I don't. That's gonna be a big factor in determining how much like Life is Strange it is. You know, if there's any supernatural stuff, then we'll know. But
I mean, to me, it just seems like typical high school drama shit
yeah.
that I just.
Oh, my favorite. I'm gonna get so angsty.
I know, right? It's like, I don't know.
That game's gonna win awards, I bet.
I hope not because I don't know. It's just I don't think a game like that should have win any type of awards anytime soon, especially if it just seems very niche.
Oh my god, yes. Well, but that's what wins awards, man. It's like you got to make something that's niche. You got to make something that the Academy will look at and think is ultra pretentious. I don't know. Maybe it'll be. I don't know. It seems like the sort of thing where they could have just kept it as like just at least based on what little we've seen so far. I just wonder why it's a game and why it's not just like an anime.
Oh yeah.
Because everything's like pre-drawn and like you can tell that it was done like pre-done. Like it's not like it's an in-game model that's moving around independently or anything. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see. The other one, Oddworld, is making a return. How hasn't it been like an entire like 2 whole console generations since we got an Oddworld game?
I don't know. I've never played any Oddworld games at all, so
I haven't either. I just can tell the sort of like kind of like Beyond Good and Evil. Like it seems like it's trying to like go for like the audience from back then. It's like, well, they're adults now and they got money, so maybe they'll buy this. Like nostalgia, and we need to age it up with our audience. So now the little amphibian creature swears.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that?
Oh yeah, that was
It's like, oh shit.
that was ridiculous. It's like, oh my god.
And it's like, but they did the same thing with Beyond Good and Evil too. It's like the pigmen like are dropping F-bombs and like probably racial obscenities. I don't know. Maybe there's like, I don't know. Maybe in light of recent events, maybe they'll patch that out in the day 1 patch.
Hopefully.
1 gigabyte, take out all the N-word.
Pretty much.
Although I don't know. Hopefully, I'm kind of hoping that consoles move away from that. I hope that we can finally just get a game that's like, it's all perfect on the disc. You don't have to install anything else on it to fix it. I really hope that it comes that way, but who knows? Now this one, I will admit ignorance on this next game. Ghostwire Tokyo. I don't know anything. Is it a franchise?
No, it's a
Have
new
there been
IP by Shinji Mikami.
Oh, okay.
For like everyone thought he was making a new Evil Within game.
Yeah.
Because apparently he wanted it to be like a trilogy. But it turns out he announced this game instead at the Game Awards last year. And if you remember, Mrs. Ikumi Nakamura, aka
Spooky
lady, yeah, she announced it.
Oh, this is that game. I don't
she
know.
worked on this
again.
game.
I've been out of the loop for a little bit, so I didn't even realize that it was the same game. I do like how there's finger guns that you're using now, like you're using literal finger guns.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like using
Which
fucking
is kinda
Naruto
cool.
jutsu shit to like fucking shoot out fire and shit.
Yeah. Now that we've seen a little more of it, it seems it's kind of like Infamous, but Japan. Like you got like superpowers, but it's in this ultra modern, like this modern like city setting. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Like,
I'm reaching. I'm probably reaching.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be like, I wasn't expecting it to be a first-person like perspective game though. So I don't know. I was kind of off put by that.
Oh, you were hoping a third person like Evil Within, sort of thing.
Maybe something. Yeah, maybe that. But I don't know. I guess it works. I don't know. When I first saw the footage, I wasn't all that like impressed. I don't know why. I just didn't really like.
Didn't send you.
Yeah, it didn't really speak to me. And I'm wondering if it's because like I think Spooky Lady I think she
Yeah.
like dropped out of this project like midway through or something.
She did. Oh no, my
Yeah.
waifu.
Yeah.
Other things simps
Mrs.
say.
Anime Girl IRL. Like I think she's not like working on this like like full on anymore. I think she like left.
Maybe it got too spooky for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she was like facing harassment at her workplace, and then she
Oh
left.
yeah.
I don't know. I have a feeling that might be it, or maybe she just wasn't comfortable working in that game in that environment anymore, or who knows? Maybe she hates Bethesda and like just wanted to get the fuck out of there.
That's another thing too. I think that's worth and this is sort of shout out to Jim Sterling and other people in gaming journalism who go out of their way to talk about this sort of stuff. How a lot of developers and stuff, like whether it's in the form of crunch periods or harassment or like pushing like toxic work environments, how those guys call it out. I hope that Jim, if by some miracle you see this or hear this little sort of audio, definitely see what's going on with Ghostwire Tokyo and see what happened, if anything happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Take a moment from your weird S&M like plague doctor top hat parties and stop wrestling and do some investigating.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been watching Jim a lot. I'm kind of excited to see what he'll say about this, to be honest. Or if he'll make fun of the PlayStation, say it looks like, I don't know, like an alien vagina or something. It kind of does. I mean, I don't know.
People are saying it looks like a fucking router, and then like
it kind of does.
Yeah, it looks like a router. People's been saying it looks like a router. It looks like one of those tower fans.
Yes,
or just
it
stuff
does
that they
kinda
already
look like-
have around their house, and they're like tweeting out, "Oh, I've had the PS5 all along," and they send a picture of their fucking tower fan in their room that has the same fucking color scheme. Or they
It's like the Xbox One all over again. It's like, hey, here I got an Xbox One. It's just a VCR.
and it's just a fucking fridge.
Yeah, I mean, in the fridge, like, that's another thing. I
Yeah.
kind of like the aesthetic to it, though, to be honest. I mean, both of them, and again, I know I said this earlier, but I like how they look distinct. Like, if you look at the Xbox, it's a box with an X on it, and the PlayStation, like, I mean, you play stuff on that station, but it's like it's this weird sort of alien sort of shape. I like how they're different from each other, so.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I am wondering how either of them are going to fit under my television, though.
Oh god.
Like, okay, little caveat question. Has Xbox confirmed, can you lay that brick on its side, the Series X? Can you lay it on its side?
I don't think so. I think it has to be standing.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean,
All right,
I don't know. Maybe you can just like put it like to the side or something and just you just say, "Oh, this is just like my fucking my air purifier that I just have next to my TV."
Yeah, I bet console manufacturers are really regretting the decision for the Xbox 360 PlayStation generation. It's like, oh, you can lay it down or stand it up because now everybody expects it. And when consoles like, oh, it just stands or it just lays on its side, we can't do the other one or it'll hurt the disc.
Exactly.
They must be kicking themselves now.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, so let's see. This one, speaking of games, sort of going back to the subject of games where the game itself, they showed like next to nothing about it, and yet you hear it's coming out this year. Like somehow. Like Jet, The Far Shore. Like,
oh yeah.
Like space travel to other worlds was about all I got from that.
Yeah, it's.
And then they have like a little thing that says, "Oh, 2020," and I'm like, "Really? You showed like the equivalent of what people would show with a game like half a decade in the future."
I know, right?
It's like, what am I? And it's supposed to be coming out. I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that game.
Yeah, it just seemed like a little random like addition.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have much to say about it either. It just didn't really seem all that memorable.
Yeah. I mean, like we already played No Man's Sky. It's gotten better, so maybe that's the version I.
Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking about. How many space games can there be? You've got No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous. Uh, wasn't there another one like Astral or something? Like there was some other space game.
Astroglide, the
know.
game. I mean, what? Yeah, it's just some dumb robot mascot for the PlayStation VR that has a platforming game now or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems kind of like a throwaway title.
It does a little. I'm gonna go to Godfall because I was talking about Gearbox and Attitude a little bit.
Oh god.
They're doing a game like it seems like mythology focused, but it's like third person combat. But it's got like a bunch of different mythological elements going. But they couldn't go with like an instrumental soundtrack, you know, like your standard like violins or like percussion.
Oh yeah,
or
they had
cinematic
to go
stuff.
with fucking
Hip hop.
yeah, I hate when game trailers do that.
I mean, in a certain way, like I got mixed feelings about it. For one thing, in a certain way, I go like props that they didn't just go with like generic fantasy soundtrack number 7 and weren't like self-serious about it.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, knowing Gearbox, it's like this is probably as close to self-serious as they can get. You know?
Yeah.
Like if it were another company doing that, I might be a little more. But the fact that it's Gearbox doing it, it's like great. I can't wait to see what version of Claptrap is in this game.
Oh,
you know, it's like they've already basically implied that there's going to be stuff like that. You know, I can't wait to see what nihilistic humor they put in. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Speaking of which, all right, this is a game where they didn't show much, but they have the excuse because it's not coming out until a couple years from now, and that's Solar Ash, which kind of has like a Journey sort of aesthetic, like it's sort of cell shaded kind of, but like kind of painted sort of aesthetic.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for this one because
I really like that. Yeah,
because it's made with the same developers as Hyper Light Drifter, and I really like that game.
Yeah, it looks really pretty for one thing, and it's like it seems like there's like a story, like it's kind of like doing the BioShock thing. Like you get a little bit of information from the start. Oh, this person, you know, this entity, this like celestial being doesn't like me, and it threw me into the black hole. And maybe we just pick up and piece together as we go why that is.
Yeah, exactly. And then the music too is really good as well because it's just very out there. It's very surreal in a way.
Yeah. Sort of maybe it's got some like Ori and the Blind Forest sort of stuff. It's like it's cutesy, but it's like deep. That seems like an award winner too, Solar Ash. It seems like it could be an award winner, kind of like that Dinosaur School one.
Oh god.
I'm sorry. Let me get the real name. Goodbye Volcano High. Sorry.
Oh my god, it's just such a dumb name.
Dude, I'm embracing the stupid. I'm gonna set up my Tumblr again. I'm gonna dye my hair pink. Let's do this shit. I'm excited.
Dude, goodbye Volcano High is like if fucking dinosaurs still existed and they fucking had Tumblr back in like 65 million BC or something.
Yeah. I can't wait for the Rule 34 for that game either, is all I'm saying.
Oh my god.
Speaking of games that are a little silly and out there, but this time kind of intentionally and delivered in a deadpan kind of way, Hitman. There's going to be a third Hitman game. It's a trilogy. This is going to be the last one. It's coming out. They're saying it's coming out beginning of 2021. And I'm kind of excited, man. Like I've got both Hitman and Hitman 2. I'm still playing through the first one just because like there's so much different like emergent sort of gameplay that you can do with that. Like there's sort of pre-cut stuff, but like NPCs will move in different ways sometimes, and like even though there are standard like paths and stuff that characters take and you isolate them and their standard stealth gameplay, there's a lot of freedom and malleability to it. And sometimes I've had instances in that game where where the AI just decided to go down a different path like out of nowhere. And it's like it forced me to think on my feet and like really like improvise, you know? It's like when stuff goes south and like It means even though that for like 90% of it's 90 to 99% of the time you can prepare for stuff, but every now and again something's going to go a little south. And then couple that with all the weird like the different things that you can decide to do, like the weird costumes and the impromptu sort of the contracts both the game puts in and the ones that you can assign yourself. I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I'm very excited for this new Hitman. But I say that it's like it's a very sort of guarded excitement, like, you know, sort of cautious enthusiasm, because the past couple Hitman games, and I mentioned this to you earlier before we started recording, and I just have to say it, I get nervous with what they're going to do with the DRM. Is it going to be like it was before, where with the exception of like the base missions, like that everything else is going to be at the mercy of your internet connection and whether the servers are up?
Oh yeah.
That's what makes me nervous, because for the last couple of games, that's what they've done. So you basically got like a half a dozen missions that you can do, and they're all unlocked. You can do each one. You can do them all in order and progress through the game that way. But that's the thing. It's like unless you have a solid internet connection for the whole time, like if you get booted out, you have to pick up from a previous save, you know, or you have to wait till your internet connection comes back on. And if you just decide to go in without an internet connection, you make no progress. You don't unlock anything. You don't have any of like the escalation stuff or any of that available. I don't know. I guess that's the one thing that I'm really worried about, that they're going to, you know, screw it over that way.
I mean, I hope not, but if it is, then I guess, I don't know. It's gotta be some backlash, or else nothing's gonna change.
Hopefully, like finally, and hopefully they like patch in. Like I think there should be a push. Like if games, especially single player games, have like this online requirement component that developers like have to patch in, like, or make versions of the game without that requirement, so that people can always play it regardless of whether the servers are up. I don't know. You hear me, IO Interactive? Do it, or I'm gonna kick your teeth in. Do it. I'm gonna garrote you with the model of the garrote you use for Agent 47.
God.
If you keep that in.
Yeah.
Not really. This is I'm not actually, but please change that. Yeah. So, I mean, the only other thing is like, is this going to be exclusive?
No. It's just gonna be a multi-platform.
Oh, good. So I don't have to. I can avoid next gen.
I mean,
like
I don't know
like
about
the poor
like
pleb I am.
I don't know about PS4 and Xbox One, but
It's just not exclusive to the PlayStation, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not exclusive to the PlayStation, but it might be exclusive to next gen.
That'd be a garbage thing for them to do. It's a trilogy, but you have to have multiple platforms to play it on.
We got to move to the next gen some way, one way or another.
I guess I don't know. I feel like with something where you start it in one console generation, the other, I don't know. So there's a few things you have to worry about now, IO Interactive. That's all I'm.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm excited for it. Dubai looks cool. Hopefully they get the DRM and like the multi-console stuff going.
Yeah.
All right. So the next game was Little Devil Inside, which I don't know if you saw. It was kind of like a Tim Burton sort of looking game. Like on one end of there's survival, and then you've got this old man on the other side.
Oh yeah.
Like it sort of juxtaposes the two different things. Like you see this guy, like this survivalist, climbing down mountains and fighting off different creatures, both like creatures we see in the real world and supernatural. And then it cuts to some old guy reading the newspaper or going to the toilet.
Oh yeah.
And I gotta say, it looks kind of interesting. Again, this is another one where it's like, I can't help but ask myself, is it going to be like multiple like campaign modes? Is it kind of be like those Mario games where it's like the Super Mario Dreamland game where like you make decisions in one aspect of the game and it makes changes in the other aspect? Like, if you're making decisions as the survivalist, is it going to affect the old man gameplay?
Maybe.
I don't know. Once again, I think I might be reading too much into it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't really pay much attention to it, so I don't know if I can add any.
Dude, there was a rooster dragon in it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there was like a dragon that was part rooster in the game.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I started tuning out like after that. It's just like,
I gotta be
not my
honest.
type of game.
Yeah. This one might jumpstart your heart. Bug Snacks.
Oh God.
The developers of Octodad
Oh yeah.
making a game where the centipedes are made out of ribs.
Oh yeah.
There are strawberries that are sentient and like walk around and make noises. And the kiwis are made from actual kiwis. The kiwi bird is constructed from an actual kiwi fruit.
What the fuck?
So it's kind of funny. I don't know. I like it. It's kind of funny. And the way they sort of talk about gameplay just by showing it. Like it's like you eat these and you gain abilities based on it. Sort of like Super Mario Odyssey. Instead of throwing your hat on something and becoming it, temporarily, it's that you eat something and that thing becomes a part of you. It's sort of like an inverse of that. It seems like.
Oh yeah. Like how if you eat sausages, your hands become hot sausages or something.
Yeah, like I think, and that was actually a thing that happened. It's like he ate some hot dogs and he had like wiener hands.
Oh yeah.
I think he said wiener hands in the trailer too.
God.
Yeah, that was really funny. I mean, I'm kind of excited for that because, like, I mean, the Octodad people, Octodad's a really funny game, so I'm hoping this is too. And the way they're making it look, it seems like there might be a little bit more of a goal to it than with Octodad.
Yep.
Hopefully. Anyway, we'll see.
Yep, we'll see.
All right, jump into it's funny, one of the games that I got really excited about is a game that's actually like over a decade old now. The one that started the whole trend of like stamina management and fighting hard bosses.
Oh yeah.
That are usually like 10 times your size. Demon Souls is making a return.
Yep.
At least it looks like it. Is it a remake or is it a remaster?
Yeah, it's a full-on remake.
Oh wow, that's going to be exciting.
Yep.
And hopefully it's an opportunity for them to quote unquote fix things that a lot of people have talked about, like how it was just like ridiculously punishing. Like,
yeah.
Like all the games are punishing, and Harris Bomber guy, another YouTuber, he goes into detail about it, like how Demon Souls, how he sums it as basically Demon Souls just tells you you're going to die a lot and you're going to have to keep pushing and pushing and hitting your head against a wall to get it.
Oh yeah.
Whereas with when it gets into Dark Souls, it's like you're hitting your head against a wall, but they also subtly guide you to, oh, here's a shield and you can use this to defend yourself. So maybe you're a little more. And then how Bloodborne continues that with, you're going to die a lot, but here's how you parry. And like, here's, you need to jump out of the way at this point, and here's how to predict things. So I don't know. Hopefully they adapt it with that. I don't know. Just because I want to try Demon Souls, but I'm scared of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, hopefully they make it a little more accessible.
Yeah, I mean, I am excited about it. But at the same time, it's like, again, I just sort of am excited vicariously because, like, I watch videos on this stuff and I'm excited to, like, I would love to play some of this stuff. But again, we'll see. Maybe this is the one I jump into. All right. And this is us going back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier with that Returnal game, how you die constantly and, like, you come back to life and try to make things right this time. Bethesda and Arcane Studios had their own variant on that, sort of like a spiritual successor to Dishonored called Deathloop.
Oh yeah.
Sort of like has this kind of like a BioShocky sort of aesthetic, sort of like this this early to mid 20th century sort of like in vogue like design to it. And you play like two rival assassins trying to with different goals. One of them is to so again, that's why I'm thinking spiritual successor Dishonor. It's like potentially very stealth focused, and it's first person, and it's also like sort of a dual like career sort of thing, at least from what I can see so far from it, where you're playing as either of these killers. One of their goals is to kill the other player, while the others is simply to avoid getting killed by the first player while also assassinating a bunch of targets. So I'm interested. I'm kind of hoping to see what it can be. Hopefully it's good. Arcane Studios has done some great stuff. I mean, because they did Dishonored and then they did Prey, which is brilliant, and I've played a little bit of it. I need to get back into it. But that one's, I mean, I'm excited is I guess what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like an exciting game.
Yeah. I don't even know what the title is. I have a note for this, and admittedly, I apologize for my lack of preparation for the people at home. But there was a game. It was an astronaut walking around in Times Square, and then he takes a little girl to the moon. Do you know what that title was for that?
Oh, Pragmata.
Pragmata,
Yeah. Reminded me of Dead Space for a little bit.
Yeah,
like the
it's
suit
just so
design.
weird and out there and like all over the place. It's like we're in Times Square and then we're in space and there's an astronaut and a little girl. I don't know. Like it was just, I do appreciate that they accurately like portrayed like sound in space, as in there pretty much is none.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you didn't really hear any noise. It wasn't like that weird sort of echoey stuff. So props to that. I know that certain other like gaming people, like Jane Douglas from Outside Xbox, she's probably stoked about that. She's really into space.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. I have no idea what it is or what it means or if it means anything, but
Not sure either. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, maybe that's the fun of it, you know, because there have been a bunch of games that like Death Stranding. It's like that you really like that game, I know.
Oh yeah.
And that one was really vague and sort of like all over the place and like what what is this? Although it also had Hideo Kojima behind it.
Yeah.
But I don't think
mean,
this game does not have Hideo Kojima, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Oh god, it's gonna suck. Okay. Horizon. We're getting a sequel to one of the brand new IPs that came out this console generation, and one that received some pretty heavy praise. Like, you know, a unique backdrop, robot dinosaurs, like a bunch of new lore, and like a lot very artistic, like character driven.
Oh yeah.
Basically, you know, it's a PlayStation first party game. It's a character driven, like third person, you know, game. But, you know, it's very unique premise, and I haven't played it, but from what little I've seen of just the first one, it looks very interesting. And now with it expanding over to the West Coast, you know, you see the ruins of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and you know, it's like seems like there's new things like swimming, like they put an emphasis on that in the trailer. I know, I'm kind of excited. I'm thinking that they're taking advantage of the SSD to allow for much bigger open worlds. That's the hope anyway. It looks really, really interesting. And I mean, there was a robot turtle in it, so that's all you really need to know, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, I don't know. It seems like I feel like I'm petering out, but I don't know. Are there any final thoughts on this next console generation now that we have seen both consoles and have seen a lot of the stuff that's coming out on both of them? Any final thoughts?
I mean, it's just shaping to be an exciting new next generation for video games and console hardware. So looking forward to when they come out.
Yeah, I'm trying to be optimistic, but I'm still cautious because, you know, again, it's like over the course of this console generation, stuff's like people have been pushing stuff, man. Like lots of microtransactions, lots of like, here's the base game, but all the stuff that should be part of the base game is DLC now. And, you know, here's a season pass and it's a live service now. I'm trying to be optimistic, you know, but I don't know. Hopefully the PlayStation 5, as futuristic as it looks, decides to do away with microtransaction search engines before it does away with the disc tray. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, I think, like, especially considering the first party stuff, like, with Horizon Zero Dawn and talking about a brand new Gran Turismo game and a new Spiderman. I think the ball's in Microsoft's court. It's like, it's up to them. It's like what Forza Motorsport 8 is going to look like, what Halo Infinite's going to look like, what the next Gears is going to look like if they come up with new intellectual property. It's, again, the ball's in their court. It's up to them. It's like they've got to put up because they've got a lot to fight against. I was really stoked, and as an Xbox person his whole life, I've got to say that I really was excited for the PlayStation offerings this time around. And so this makes me kind of excited to see how Xbox is going to, now that they've got a steer, got a little bit of a steer on the situation that PlayStation's come out with a bunch of their stuff. I want to see what they're going to do. So with that in mind, when is, we got to keep up with when the next one for Xbox is going to be.
They haven't announced yet, so they'll be announcing that.
We got to wait. The next Inside Xbox is going to be probably going to be the big one. So, yeah, I'm excited to see with what PlayStation's shown so far. They've still got more to show. We'll see. Last of Us Part 2. They still got to talk a little bit more about that.
Well, that's coming out next Friday.
Oh shoot! Never mind. What am I saying?
Yep.
What am I saying? But we gotta see. I am curious to see though if they have any more stuff that they're gonna talk about. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, PlayStation's sort of set the baseline, so to speak, for now, and we're gonna see if we get any other quote unquote gameplay trailers with Assassin's Creed. Like they're playing a little catch up right now, but who knows? Maybe they'll come up with something even more crazy or impressive. Time will tell. I'm excited for PlayStation though.
Oh yeah, time will tell.
See what I'm not excited for the new Gran Turismo. That game looks good, especially considering it's got a bunch of cars that I wish I could play in Forza, but we'll see. Anywho, but yeah, on that note, I think we basically talked about it. That was us talking about our thoughts on the PlayStation 5 and the games that are going to be coming with it and coming on it. That was terrible phrasing. So yeah, this has been Dank Swank. This has been Mr. G, Mr. J. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, or if you want to see any other videos from us that are somewhat similar to this one, any other discussion videos, list videos, let's plays, that sort of thing. And hopefully we'll see you next time on the classiest cavern on the World Wide Web. Thanks for watching.